Welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, Real Live with the real secrets of money with your host, myself, Damon Brockenberry, also known as Damon the Agent, the Extraordinary, and CEO of DTA and Associates. Today is Friday, October 24, 2025. Please, if you're not following me on all social media platforms, please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Threads, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And as always, I like to begin my show with going into the wonderful world of real estate. So today's topic is going to be about apartment rent versus a home or house mortgage. Now, in the DMV area, which is the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, normally the prices can vary depending on what part of the DMV that you reside in. But I just was doing some study, and what came up was very surprising and shocking. So I wanted to actually talk to you about it. Now, in the DMV, the average cost for a 3-bedroom apartment in the DMV, the average cost, depending on where you're at, is anywhere between $2,300 to $3,000. And if you're in the city in DC, it's roughly around $4,000 a month. Now, I really want people to focus on this number. This is apartment. This means every month when you're paying onto it, there are numerous things to take into consideration. First of all, you are not building any equity. Second of all, if you pay after the 4th or 5th of the month, you're considered late, and then the apartment complex can file for an eviction to get you out of it. Now, I also want to give you a snapshot of the average cost of a 3-bedroom home in the DMV. And this is based off a price of $650,000 and also using a conventional loan. But the average cost for a $650,000 home using a conventional loan is roughly between $3,000 to $3,300. Now, that can go up or down depending on where you are living at with property taxes, etc. But I just wanted to show you something. If the average cost of a 3-bedroom home in the DMV, that's a $650,000 home, is roughly $3,000 to $3,300, and the average cost of a 3-bedroom apartment in the DMV is $23,000 to $3,000, where $3,000 is both for both an apartment and both for owning a home, and there are other benefits to owning a home. For example, unlike when you're in an apartment where you have to the 4th or 5th of the month, otherwise you're considered late. When you own a home, you're not considered late until your payment is received after the 15th of the month. In other words, you have 2 weeks to pay your mortgage before it's considered late. Time is always of the essence, and people can always use that extra time, especially if they just missed the payment and they have an upcoming payment. A lot of times with apartment complex, they're not taking that into consideration. Also, every month that you pay on your mortgage, you are helping to build the equity. As you buy down the principal and the interest on the loan, you're actually gaining equity. For example, if you did buy a $650,000 home and you're paying $3,000, and after a couple of years, your principal balance is not going to be $650 anymore. It's going to be less. And that means your house, 9 times out of 10, where you bought it at, is either at that purchase price or it has gone up because you have built equity. So you're actually earning money by paying down, unlike when you're renting. When you're renting, you're not building any equity. You can't leverage or use that money. When you own a home, you can actually use the equity that you build in your home. You can also use your property as collateral if you want to buy. I'm sorry, not buy, but if you want to start a business. A lot of times they'll ask you, what collateral do you have? When you own a home, that's part of the collateral. Also, have you ever noticed that whenever you fill out an application, it always asks you, do you own or do you rent? The reason it asks this specific question is if you own, your approval rating goes up. And the reason it goes up is because whatever you're applying for, they know that if they needed to get their money back, they can slap a lien against your property, and there's a higher percentage they'll get their money back. So because they know that if you default on whatever you're applying for, they can get their money back, your approval rating goes up. Once they process your information into the system and it matches it with a mortgage that matches the address, whatever you put on, your approval rating goes up. So owning a home is very beneficial in many ways, even though a lot of times it's very convenient to rent an apartment, depending on if you do not plan on staying in a specific area for a long time. But if you're going to be in a specific area for 2 or more years, you're better off purchasing so you can reap the benefits of building the equity, using it as collateral, and having your approval rating go up on anything that you apply for. Because again, that is the reason why they always ask, do you own or do you rent? Again, there's nothing wrong with renting, because renting is very convenient, and sometimes we all have to rent depending on what's going on in our life. But I just want you to keep in mind that in the Washington, D.C. area, the DMV, the average cost for a 3-bedroom apartment is between 23 to 3,000, depending on the area. In DC is 4,000, and the average call for a mortgage of a $650,000 house using a conventional loan and taking consideration of taxes is between 3,000 and 3,300. So 3,000 seems to be the median point for both. The apartment is 2,300 to 3,000. Buying a home is 3,000 to 3,300. Logically, it makes more sense. Now, here are some things that I want to help people with. I know people say, oh, well, I can't get a home. I don't qualify for a home. This is what I want everyone to do today, next week, whenever. You have to write out a plan. I talked about that on my Wealth Wednesday. That was my topic, writing a business plan. But you don't necessarily have to write out a business plan. You can write out a life plan. You have to write out a plan. And in your plan, I want you to give yourself 6 months to a year. The first thing that I want you to do is to pull your credit. Now, for a lot of people, pulling their credit is so scarce to them, meaning they're afraid to pull their credit. You have to pull your credit. In order to get started, you have to start where you are. Look at your credit, see what's on your credit that's hindering you, whether you have collections on there, whether you have late payments on things. Start there. The second thing that I want you to do is, for those who are not answering the phone when credit card people are calling you, pick up the phone. Work out a payment arrangement with them. Work out something with them. That's why they're calling. Do not see Capital One or Chase calling you and you do not answer the phone. Pick up the phone. Speak to these people. Once you write out your 6 month to 12-month business plan and you have written these things down and you have pulled your credit, then I want you to start to look into the areas you want to move in. See, you have to perceive things before it actually happens. And this is one of the things I want you to do, is to manifest the home that you want, the home of your desire, 6 months to a year from now. By next year, this time going into Thanksgiving, if you're in an apartment, I want you to be moving towards a home if you're not already in that home. See, we can have whatever we want in this world if we believe and we think big. There's nothing that's not attainable by all of us. Because if someone else can have it and get it, guess what? So can you. And there are plenty of people out here who got homes. You know a couple of them. And to be honest with you, they're no different than you. Sometimes they're just more organized. They know people in certain situations, and that makes them to get the things that they get. And they believe that they deserve it and that they're going to get it. So for those who are in an apartment, I'm going to help you believe the same thing. You can achieve anything you want. You can get that house. Please do not think that it's unaffordable these days to own a home. It is affordable, because with the programs that are out here with real estate professionals like myself, and with the knowledge that I give to you all when I do my podcast, it's very obtainable and very affordable. But if you limit your thinking, then you limit everything, which also means you limit you purchasing a home. So I want you to write out that 6 to 12-month business plan. I want you to pull your credit. I want you to start to get organized in your finances. Once you have started this process and you have done this in 3 to 6 months, then I want you to pull your credit again to see what it is. Because here's the thing. There are resources out here in which can help you get the home of your desire and your choice. Those are the things that I want you to work on. If you have any questions about those things, please feel free to reach out to me so I can help you and hold your hand and guide you in the next step to obtaining that home ownership. Because when I look at what the cost it is of a 3-bedroom apartment compared to how much your mortgage will be for a 3-bedroom home, it only makes sense for you to get that home of your desire. So let me go on to my next topic. I'll be right back with my Q&A, my questions and answers. Hold on. All right. Yeah, so one thing is I haven't shaved in a week, y'all. So I just decided to just not shave. I know November is no shave month, but I decided to anyway just begin it early just to, you know, didn't feel like shaving all week. So my Q&A, my questions and answers, let's go. And if you have any questions for me that you would like for me to answer, please always feel free to send them to me, DM, text, or call me. I'll be happy to answer your questions because no question is a dumb question. And on top of that, your question helps others to understand the same thing that you're asking. So the first question is, what's the process for negotiating repairs or a price reduction after an inspection? What's the process for negotiating repairs or price reductions after an inspection, which means after a home inspection? The process is after a real estate professional and a buyer have had their home inspection done, they are to go over the report or go over anything that the buyer deems that they want to have taken care of by the seller. Now, once they have discussed this, the next step will be for the real estate professional to write up an addendum to send over to the seller to let them know this is what this is what the buyer would like for the seller to take care of. Now that begins negotiation again. This is the reason why when a contract is written, you have a home inspection contingency, because during that contingency period is when you do the negotiating for the repairs or the price reduction, depending on what comes about with the home inspection. So the process is discussing it, writing an addendum, sending it over to the sellers to let them know your terms and what you are asking for. The next question is, are there fines or fees for certain types of home improvements? Are there fines or fees for certain types of home improvements? The answer to that is yes, depending. If you do not get the proper permits when you're doing certain home improvements, the county can fine you and give you fees. So the answer to that is yes. Because here's the thing, many people think that, oh, this is my house, I can do what I want. And technically you can, but sometimes the improvements that one may do may affect the neighbors, the electrical, the wiring, the structural. It just depends on the area. So you do have to get certain permits before you can do certain home improvements. And if you do not, then yes, you can be fined with fees. It's always best to check with your county wherever you live at. The next question, what should be a major concern when purchasing a house? What should be a major concern when purchasing a house? I think the major concern, I wouldn't say a major concern, it just should be like the history of the home, what comes about with the home inspection, the roofing, the foundation. These are things of concern which normally comes about with the home inspection. Now, I wouldn't say anything should be a major concern unless it comes up as a major concern from the home inspection. A concern when purchasing a home is just making sure that your home is in a good area, you get it for a good price, and that there are no major issues that comes up when you do your home inspection. The next question, when purchasing a home, what matters most, price or value? Again, when purchasing a home, what matters most, price or value? I would say the value values most, because here's the thing. You can go into a neighborhood to purchase a home, but the school system is really a good school system in which you want your kids to attend that school. And that, in a long way, is more important than actually the cost of the home for some people, just being in certain neighborhoods and everything. So the value of the home, the value is more important than the cost for some people. Some people will pay whatever just to get their kids in certain schools or to be in certain neighborhoods. That's why real estate is always location, location, location. The price of a home in DC is different from the price of a home in Montgomery County, but the value is what makes it go up. So the value will be more, but the value can come in many forms, such as the community, the schools, the accessibility to transportation. It's not always the cost of the home, but it's the value that it brings to the homeowner. Next one. Are there any upcoming neighborhoods in the DMV that someone looking for a home should be aware of? Are there any upcoming neighborhoods in the DMV that someone should be aware of? There are many neighborhoods, upcoming neighborhoods in the DMV area. Like I said, it really depends on what a person is looking for. If they're looking for peace, quietness, there's certain areas in Prince George's County and also in Charles County and also in Fairfax County. If they're looking for specific schools, it depends on what schools they're looking for. If they're looking for accessibility to metro, there are many factors, but yes, they are. What I would strongly recommend is you Google or you chat GPT that. What are the upcoming neighborhoods in the DMV? Because specifically, neighborhoods are popping up everywhere with new construction. As real estate professional, I can't keep up with all of them, but I can always find out about some of them. So I think it will be easier just to chat GPT or Google those because, like I said, there are many upcoming neighborhoods in the DMV. Those are great questions. Again, like I always like to say, if you have any questions that you have for me when it pertains to real estate, please send them to me so I can share them here and answer your questions. And when I answer your questions, I'm also possibly answering someone else's question. So right now, I'm going to go into the home of the week. Okay. This home right here is an investor special. All right. This is an investor special. I just put this on the market today. This is at 131 Florida Avenue, Northwest Washington, D.C. This is a prime area. This is actually walking distance from Howard University, walking distance from the Howard Theater, accessible to Shaw, U Street, Metro. It's also relatively close to North Capitol Street, New York Avenue, in and out the city, 395, in and out the city. So if you, and this is an investment property, so as you're looking at these pictures, understand that it requires work. It requires work. So this is for an investor who basically looking to do a rehab, had 2-car parking in the back, has a balcony, so 3-bedroom, 1 bath, but it does have a bump downstairs to put plumbing to add additional baths to. So keep in mind, it's right across the street from a park. Oh, it's right there, Florida and R Street, where the intersection is at. And again, that is the house of the week. I will be right back with my topic of the week. I'll be right back, y'all. Okay, again, please follow me on all social media platforms if you're not following me. Again, that's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Threads, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And for those who don't know, every episode that I do is always saved on my YouTubes. So if you go to YouTube and you click on live, you'll see every podcast that I ever did. So if there's an episode that I actually did that you are interested in revisiting because certain questions that I answered or certain topics that I've discussed, you can always find it on my YouTube. And please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay. So today's topic of the week is called hateration. All right. Hateration is when people hate on you and speak that negative energy about you to others. It meaning they spread the hate. It's just like, and a lot of people do that. And the reason why I would like to say this is because what I've realized in my years on this earth Sometimes you can be a nice person and people hate on you just because you're nice. People hate on you because others like you and they're mad of the attention that you get. They hate on you because of the potential of you. They hate on you because they don't really like themselves. So, hateration. So, haters are everywhere, y'all. I want you to clearly understand this. Haters are in your family, some of them your friends, some of them your co-workers, some of them your neighbors. I mean, even when you're driving, sometimes people hate on you. You ever had somebody who you're coming, you're speeding up, and they're in one lane, and then they cut you off, and they're driving slower than what you were going or what they was going, but they mad because they don't want you to pass. Same for a lot of people in life. People don't want you to pass them or to move further ahead because they feel like you leaving them behind, and they really mad at themselves. So what you have to do is get more haters. The more haters that you have, the more successful you will be. And here's why. Haters motivate each and every one of us. You know, when you don't do anything but be you and people are mad that you are you, it's like, okay, I just showed up and you're mad. So now let me give you something to be mad about. It's like you ever walk into a room and a person size you up and down. Let me tell you a story about me. A couple of years ago, I remember a client was referred to me by one of my lenders. And I showed up to the property. It was a female client that was referred to me. So as I'm pulling up, she says, I'm right here in a white car. I said, okay, I'm pulling up in my BMW. So I parked right beside her. When I got out the car, she got out the car, but then her boyfriend or fiance got out the car too. He stood up, he looked me up and down, looked me up and down. I reached out to speak to him and everything since they were together. And I stay in 6'2". This guy, he probably was like 5, I don't know, 5'4", something like that, 5'5". I give it to him. So we're going through the property. He's asking questions. I'm answering all of his questions. So afterwards, the next day, I follow up with my client. And I said, hey, and I text her. I said, hey, I'm just checking in with you. Do you have any questions and everything? She said, my fiance wants me to get another realtor. Now, here's the thing. When he looked at me up and down, I could see the hate in his eye. But I think he was hating on me because I was taller than him. And what I'm saying to you is sometimes you can't help who you are compared to others. You have to be the best version of you as possible. Because no matter what you go through in life, people are going to find something to say about you, even when it's not true. And a lot of times when they're saying things that's not true about you, it's because they don't like what's true about you. Because what's true about you makes them look bad. What's true about you, you know what I'm saying, shines on you that they're mad. So they got to throw dirt on your name. They got to throw dirt on your name. They got to lie about you. That's the only way to make them feel good and to try to give the perceptions to others of you, because the truth is what it is. When the truth is what it is, you don't have to say certain things about people because it is what it is. But the reason why people say certain things is because they want you to feel the same way about them as they feel about you. And those are haters. And remember, in this world, there's a lot of hateration going on where people are spreading lies and rumors about you just so others won't like you because you're so likable and because you are who you are. And understand, karma has a name on all of those people. That's why their life ends up turning out the way it does. Oh, sometimes it might look like everything's going right for them, but things hit people unexpectedly. Unfortunately, sometimes it comes in the form of sickness and their health. Sometimes it comes in the form of their family. Sometimes it comes in the form of them losing things and unfortunately losing people. See, people don't understand the hatred that they have. And let me tell y'all, all of us have haters, even on social media. All of us have posted stories where we got hundreds of people looking at us. But then you post a post and you might even only got 10 likes. I post a lot of videos and stories. I see people in my stories that never like my post, but they always watching my stories. Why you don't never like something? Because you're being nosy or because you're hating? It's one or the other. But the thing that I'm making is, in this world that we live in, you're going to have people that always stare at you. And sometimes you inspire these people. And sometimes these people just hate on you because they don't like who you are. You might look too good for them. Like I've seen women, for example. I remember one time I was in a lounge and there was 2 guys talking to this woman. And they were all keying and laughing, da 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 da. And this one woman walked in. She was very attractive. And the 2 guys stopped talking to the lady. and their eyes were fixated on the lady who walked in. The woman that they were talking with, she looked at both of them. She looked at the lady who walked in. Then she started saying, oh, look at her feet. Look at her toes. She automatically started throwing shade on her because the attention wasn't given to her anymore. Why nothing wrong with that lady toes, but here's the point I'm making. Sometimes people will try to find something wrong with you, even when nothing is wrong with you, just so people can perceive you in a negative light. So while you out there being whoever you are and being the best version of you, just remember the haters are out there, even when you just walking in minding your own business, because nobody wants to see you shine when you take the shine away from them. And unfortunately, when you are one of God's favorite, you're going to always have the light shine on you, because nobody can dull your light because it shines so bright. So while there are people out here who are celebrating in their hateration, remember, you are to be the best version of yourself. And if you don't have at least 7 haters, then you need to go get some more. You got to have a minimum of 7 in order to know that you're doing well. I know I got more than 7. Hell, I got more than 7 in my family. And that's all I'm going to say. But right now, we're going to do a recap. All right. So as we do this recap, please don't forget to follow me on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Threads, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube, and Pinterest. All right. And you can always type in my name, Damon Brockenberry, to find me on all these social media platforms. So again, the recap is, hey, apartment rent versus a house mortgage. In the DMV area, it is more suitable and more reasonable to actually buy a house and pay the mortgage, where you will actually get equity, build equity, and you also have a collateral and improve your rating when you're trying to apply for something, versus renting, where if you are late, they're going to file eviction and you build no equity. It only makes sense because the way the things, all the prices are going up on everything, the cost to be the boss, you have to make sense when you're dealing with dollars and cents. All right. And then I just talked about hateration. Look here, y'all. We post videos. People hardly ever like them. But you can see on the insights all the people who are looking at it. I posted a video when I went to the Commanders game, had over 6,000 views, but only 300 likes. It is what it is. I'm going to keep posting because I am who I am. So again, before I go, I'd like to thank each and every one of you all for joining me today. But listen, as always, let me take y'all out on my commercial.
We sure could use the money.
Time for some upgrades. We're pregnant.
Oh my goodness, I need to downsize.
We buy houses for cash as is.
Damon the Agent. A name you can trust.
Hey, I love that commercial. Damon the Agent. A name you can trust. And with that being said, you'll have a great weekend. I'll see y'all next week on Halloween. Be safe on Halloween. And thank you all for joining me, y'all. I appreciate your time. Thank you.